Welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with our Making Accessible Apps for Apple Platforms series, and in this particular installment we're going to be taking a look at accessibility hints on Apple platforms. Now, what are accessibility hints? Well, accessibility hints are additional information to let the user know what is going to happen when they take a given action. So you could have an accessibility hint on our buttons for changing a view's color to be something like sets the view's background color to teal or something. But it would be a little bit more precise in its wording and all that kind of stuff. I just want to give you an idea of, and I give you a very basic example that isn't quite what you want, but it's still something. So these hints, when we actually implement them, they shouldn't be extremely verbose. You want them to be short and concise enough to where they don't take forever to read out, but they should have enough detail for the user to fully understand what the actual button, slider, whatever will do when you perform an action with it. All right. So how exactly do we implement an accessibility hint? Well, let's go into Xcode, and we'll start with UIKit. We'll apply some accessibility hints to our 4 buttons here. So inside of Xcode, we'll say teal button dot accessibility hint equals a string, and inside of this string, we'll say sets the color of the view at the bottom of the screen to teal. Alright, so I have a typo in there. There we go. Alright. Then we'll say orange button dot accessibility hint is equal to a string sets the color of the view at the bottom of the screen to orange. Then we'll have indigo button accessibility hint is equal to a string sets the color of the view at the bottom of the screen to indigo. All right, and then finally, mint button dot accessibility hint is equal to a string sets the color of the view at the bottom of the screen to mint. Like that. Let's go ahead and save it, and we'll run it. All right, I'm running this in Catalyst mode because my AirPods keep switching back and forth from my computer to my phone, and it's quite obnoxious. So keep an eye on the voiceover transcription box down at the bottom left of my screen, and you will see you'll see the accessibility hint in that box when it comes up. So let's go ahead and focus on the teal button here. orange button. All right. So when you focus on a UI element for a second or two, a couple seconds, it'll start reading the hint as we have specified it. If you were paying attention to the voiceover transcription box down at the bottom left, you would have seen the accessibility hints for each of these buttons. And we can tap on these buttons and they all still work exactly how we expect them to. The accessibility hint doesn't exactly change any sort of functionality. It just, again, communicates additional information to whatever assistive technology you're using. All right. So that's accessibility hints in UIKit. What about AppKit? How do we set an accessibility hint in that on that platform? Well, if you've been paying attention to most of our accessibility videos thus far, you will know that it's not a property we need to set. It's a method that we call and we pass it the value, because the properties aren't directly accessible. All right. So to set our accessibility hints, we need to say teal button dot set accessibility hint. Now you might be thinking right now, wait, set accessibility hint doesn't exist, so AppKit doesn't support accessibility hints? And that's where you'd be wrong. All right. If you were paying attention, you might have seen setAccessibilityHelp. And this works exactly like accessibility hint. So if we take a look at it at the inline documentation, we can pass it sets the color of the view at the bottom of the window, or not at the bottom of the window, in the center of the window to teal, orange button dot set accessibility help, sets the color of the view in the center of the window to orange. Indigo button dot set accessibility help sets the color of the view in the center of the window to indigo. And then finally, mint button dot set accessibility help, and the string is going to be sets the color of the view in the center of the window to mint, like that. All right, now we can run our code. We have a successful build. Now let's go ahead and focus VoiceOver on one of these buttons here. And so you can see after a couple seconds, or you can hear rather, after a couple seconds, VoiceOver will announce the accessibility help text that we specified, just like VoiceOver will announce the accessibility hint text in UIKit a few seconds after we focus on the element in our app. Right? And if you're paying attention again to the VoiceOver transcription window down there at the very bottom left of my screen, you will have seen that text come across the little window there for the help text. So just keep in mind that in AppKit, it's not AccessibilityHint, it's AccessibilityHelp. So in order to set the hint, you'll need setAccessibilityHelp. And to retrieve it, you'll need AccessibilityHelp. All right. So that is how we can do that in AppKit. But what about SwiftUI? Well, in SwiftUI, we can go over. I don't want. Okay, there we go. Now we're back in Xcode. We want tutorial app SwiftUI. All right. So how do we set an accessibility hint on our controls in SwiftUI? Well, to do this, we need, so where we have our tap gesture here, we can say dot accessibility hint. And this takes in a text view, just like with accessibility label. So here we'll say text sets the color of the view at the bottom of the window to indigo, like that. All right, so the accessibility hint modifier is what we need to use here. It takes in a text view for the text that you want to use as the hint. Now let's go ahead and apply this to the rest of our H stacks here. This one is going to be for mint. So dot accessibility hint text sets the color of the view at the bottom of the window to mint. All right. Next, we'll say dot accessibility hint text sets the color of the view at the bottom of the window to orange. And then finally, we'll have dot accessibility hint text sets the color of the view at the bottom of the window to teal. All right, go ahead and save that. Let's go ahead and save this, run our code. We have a successful build. Here's our application. Set background to teal. And there's our hint. There's our accessibility hint. Monitor the voiceover transcription window down at the bottom left, and you'll see the accessibility hints as they come in with voiceover. If you have voiceover enabled already and you're focusing on the different elements of your app where you've applied an accessibility hint, wait about 2 seconds or so and you'll hear the hint. And so there we go. We have all the accessibility hints for our HStack buttons in our window. And of course, just like usual, the functionality doesn't change. It's still the same as it was previously. So that pretty much does it for this video on how we can use accessibility hints in our applications. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.